A lot. But this was wrong. Thanks for the money.
Somebody stole hers.
Somebody stole it?
Somebody gave me.
I burnt my leg. I lost my mind. Hey, y'all. I look a mess. I don't even care.
On what should have been an ordinary October afternoon in North Philadelphia, a mother walked into a barbershop with her young son, expecting nothing more than a routine haircut. It was the kind of moment no one thinks twice about, but within minutes, that ordinary visit would turn into a living nightmare. In broad daylight, a man wearing a hoodie and a mask stepped inside the barbershop. He said nothing. He hesitated for nothing. Without warning, he pulled out a gun and opened fire. When police arrived, 40-year-old Tiffany Natifa Wade was lying on the floor, shot twice in the presence of her young son. She would be pronounced dead at the scene. What made this crime especially devastating wasn't just how public or brazen it was who investigators say pulled the trigger. This wasn't a random act of violence. The man accused of killing Tiffany was someone she once shared a life with, her own husband. And the timing made it even more chilling. Just moments earlier, he had been released from prison, only to discover that while he was locked away, his wife had stolen all his property. What followed was not confrontation, but calculated revenge. But before that haunting footage was discovered, let's uncover the chain of events that led here. 40-year-old Tiffany Natifa Wade, originally from North Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was a woman who embodied ambition, generosity, faith, and resilience.
Oh my God! Look at that!
That's what I said.
That is so nice. I gotta do her whole thing. Look at Grandma.
Oh yeah, I know forgot that some lady.
That was Dion. She's with Shakia.
Some lady with a red.
Oh, this is so nice. Look at that. Y'all see her?
Yeah.
Hey, Mom.
She told me.
Look at her.
Give me mine.
This is the first one I opened up. A mother's love is unconditional. Y'all see it? Stop playing with Mom.
She grew up in Pennsylvania with big dreams and an unmistakable drive to succeed. From a young age, Tiffany knew she wanted to help people, and that purpose guided her life choices. By the time she was just 20 years old, Tiffany had already become a registered nurse. According to an Instagram post, she was the youngest person to ever graduate from Methodist Hospital Nursing School, an achievement that set her apart early on. One former classmate even recalled how remarkable it was that Tiffany could administer medicine and injections while still being too young to legally buy a drink, a reflection of how far ahead she was for her age. But nursing was only one chapter of Tiffany's story. She was also a sharp and determined entrepreneur. Tiffany had a strong business mindset and was constantly looking for opportunities to build wealth and stability for her family. Over time, she owned and operated multiple businesses, including a hair salon, a catering business, home healthcare services, and her own CBD and hemp brand.
If a food critic came in here right now and said he want to offer you $1 million, because what makes your seafood the best seafood in the city?
What makes it that?
She operated these ventures under a single umbrella company using her nickname, Kisses, a strategic decision that allowed her to manage multiple brands under one registered business. It was a move that reflected both intelligence and long-term planning. But beyond her business mind, Tiffany also enjoyed the finer things in life. She loved luxury, fashion, and travel. She wore designer clothes, jewelry, and wigs, and shopped at high-end brands like Dior, Fendi, Prada, and Givenchy. But her love for luxury was never just about herself. She made sure her children had everything they needed and wanted. She was the mother of 4 children, and those closest to her made it clear that her kids were her world. One of the most telling examples of Tiffany's generosity came through her relationship with her father. On one of his birthdays, she surprised him with a $10,000 gift, presenting it as a large check and recording the moment to share later. It wasn't about showing off, it was about love, gratitude, and giving back to the man who supported her. Faith was also central to Tiffany's life. She was described as a very faithful Muslim woman, deeply committed to her beliefs. Despite her busy lifestyle and financial success, she remained grounded in her religion. She traveled to places like Dubai, dressed modestly to reconnect with her faith, and spent time mentoring others, helping them learn how to read and understand the Quran. Those closest to her said Tiffany didn't just practice her religion privately, she shared it, taught it, and lived by it. However, beyond her success and strength was a personal life marked by turmoil. Tiffany had been married to Armand Hilton. He was the father of her youngest child, Storm. 44-year-old Armand had a long and violent criminal history and had recently been released from prison. Tiffany rarely shared anything about their relationship publicly, and most people did not know she was connected to someone with such a dangerous past. Their relationship eventually ended while Armand was incarcerated and Tiffany filed for divorce. She later moved on with her life and married someone else. Little did she know, Armand wasn't going to let her go that easily. On October 7, 2023, Tiffany Wade's life would be taken in a violent and deliberate act. Earlier that day, she had gone about her routine, taking her son to a barber shop in North Philadelphia, located on the 2500 block of West Lehigh Avenue. It was just before 2 p.m., a busy time of day, with people coming and going. But surveillance footage would capture something chilling. A man wearing a hoodie and a mask approached the barbershop. He walked inside without saying a word. Moments later, gunfire rang out. Tiffany was shot twice, once in the torso and once in the head. The shooter immediately fled the scene, running out of the shop, jumping into a getaway car and speeding away.
Again here at 4:30 with a cold barbershop impacting more than just the victims' friends and families.
Police say a gunman executed a man while wearing a garment associated with the Muslim community. For more on how religious leaders are reacting to the troubling crime, we go to Action News reporter Maggie Kent in Germantown now. Maggie.
Sarah and Brian, I spoke to an imam who has a masjid just a few blocks away from here. He's concerned about the violence and concerned about there being any pushback once this video is released.
A 911 call was placed reporting the shooting. When police and paramedics arrived, they found Tiffany lying unresponsive on the floor. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The attack was swift, targeted, and executed in broad daylight. The day after Tiffany Wade's tragic murder, the Philadelphia Police Department launched an intensive investigation into the killing. Despite the chilling surveillance footage showing the masked gunman fleeing the scene, the identity of the shooter remained a mystery initially. Surveillance footage from the barbershop had shown the shooter in the moments leading up to the murder. The footage revealed that a man had entered the shop with no words spoken, but the cold, calculated manner in which he approached Tiffany, shot her, and immediately fled suggested a deliberate and premeditated act. Witnesses confirmed that the man had left the scene in a silver Pontiac, but the car's license plates had been intentionally obscured, complicating the investigation. Still, it was clear from the security footage that the shooter was not a random stranger. The manner in which he executed the crime made investigators believe the shooter had a personal connection to the victim. But police would soon make an even more unsettling find. Investigators later determined that the shooter, the one the surveillance footage captured, was Tiffany's ex-husband, Armand Hilton. Witnesses and investigators described Tiffany and Armand's relationship as rocky and filled with conflict, marked by tension that had been building for some time. According to close family members, Tiffany had been trying to rebuild her life after divorcing Armand and marrying someone else. Armand's reaction to Tiffany's new life had reportedly been filled with anger and resentment. Tiffany had even posted worrying messages online suggesting she felt unsafe, though no one realized just how serious the situation had become.
I look at you different. Why the f you worry about my baby mom? I don't give a. If you ever was to talk to her, she'll tell you that.
I would never talk to that. That bitch ain't on my level. She ain't do nothing to me, and she never been in my circle. She never been around that. I didn't know that.
And you've been bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up. So now I'm gonna give you what you want. To touch you again. I'm never physically gonna hurt. You married this, blowing this head off on everything I love. I'm going back to prison on every. Man, I don't give a okay? I told you stop throwing it in my face. If this is what you want to do, go in and do it. Stop throwing it in my face. All right. I just left you 2 months ago. Stop throwing it in my face.
What began as a simple trip to the barbershop ended in tragedy, leaving Tiffany's 4 children without their mother and setting off a massive investigation that would grip the city of Philadelphia. 44-year-old Armand Hilton, also known by the nickname Speedy, had a long history of criminal behavior. Before the murder of Tiffany Wade, he had been involved in several serious crimes, which included a kidnapping incident in March 2022, where he, along with others, had kidnapped a 17-year-old boy and demanded a ransom from his family. The teen was abducted just outside a store after Armand and his guys had learned that his family had recently received a $100,000 settlement. Acting on this information, they demanded a ransom of $50,000, threatening to take his life if their demands were not met. The teen had fortunately managed to escape, and the police had tracked down Armand and his accomplices, arresting them shortly afterward. But this wasn't a one-time crime when it came to Armand. Before the kidnapping case, Armand had a criminal record dating back years, filled with charges for various offenses, including robbery, conspiracy, aggravated assault, and even armed robbery. His violent tendencies had been well documented, and it was evident that he struggled with anger and control issues, traits that would later come to a tragic head in his relationship with Tiffany. When Armand was finally released from prison after serving time, he found that Tiffany had ended their relationship and had divorced him. This decision appeared to ignite his deep frustration and anger as he felt betrayed by someone he had trusted with his properties and finances. Armand's refusal to accept Tiffany's new life had led to threats, and it was clear that he was unable to cope with the idea of Tiffany moving on. Despite his criminal history and the severity of the charges against him for torture, criminal sexual conduct, Armand was released on bond on June 12, 2023. Sadly, this decision would prove to be the start of the tragic event that unfolded. Long before Armand's imprisonment, cracks had already begun to show in his marriage. His time behind bars only deepened the divide. When Tiffany first met him, she believed in his potential and held on to the hope that he could change. Their relationship began with shared dreams of building a better future, but Armand's repeated troubles with the law slowly eroded her patience. Maintaining a marriage under constant legal turmoil proved nearly impossible. Each arrest and eventual incarceration widened the emotional distance between them, leaving Tiffany to shoulder the weight of uncertainty alone. Despite this, she tried to remain supportive, even as the stigma of being married to a man in prison clashed with her public image as a socialite. Outwardly, she kept up appearances, but privately, she struggled with the pain of loving someone who was often absent, both physically and emotionally.
Now here's where it gets interesting. Armand had shared that he had come into possession of a large sum of money. The source of these funds was never clearly identified, raising questions about whether they were obtained legally. Hoping to secure his future, Armand had invested in real estate but used Tiffany's name to avoid suspicion. But this decision placed her in a precarious position. If the money was tied to illegal activity, she risked being implicated as an accomplice, something she desperately wanted to avoid. Eventually, Armand was arrested again on undisclosed charges. But for Tiffany, this was the breaking point. Feeling increasingly isolated and unwilling to remain tied to his criminal past, she filed for divorce while he was still incarcerated. As a mother, she may have also feared the impact his influence could have on their child. When Armand was released, he felt betrayed. He had trusted Tiffany to manage his properties during his sentence, only to discover that she had moved on and remarried. To him, this was not only a personal rejection, but also a loss of control over assets he believed were his. He demanded that Tiffany remove her name from the properties and return ownership, but she refused. Instead, she embraced her new life, openly sharing moments of happiness with her husband on social media, public displays that only fueled Armand's anger. The sense of betrayal cut deep. His resentment grew steadily, and given his history, it was no surprise that his response to feeling wronged took a violent turn. What began as emotional pain transformed into something far more dangerous, setting the stage for the next chapter in their troubled story. The murder shocked not just Tiffany's family, but the entire North Philadelphia community. Tiffany had been well known in the area. She was not just a successful entrepreneur, but also a devout Muslim who gave back to her community. Her children are now faced with life without their mother, and her tragic end left a hole in the lives of many who had known and loved her. As news of Tiffany's death spread, her family, friends, and community members were left to grieve her loss. Tiffany's business ventures, her generosity, and her faith had made her a well-loved figure, and her sudden, senseless death left those closest to her struggling to make sense of it all. Armand Hilton, the man who once shared a life with Tiffany, had violently ended it, and his actions left a family broken and searching for answers. Tiffany's death would go down as another case of domestic violence escalating into murder, a tragic reminder of the dangers that can lurk in a relationship filled with anger and resentment. In the days following the murder, Tiffany's family gathered to mourn her loss and demand justice. The pain of losing a loved one is immeasurable, but when that loss is the result of an act of revenge and violence, the grief is compounded. The family struggled to understand how Armand, who had once been close to Tiffany, could bring such devastation into their lives. Tiffany's family, especially her father, spoke out, calling for accountability for those responsible for her death. In interviews, Tiffany's loved ones said that no one should ever have to go through this, and they expressed disbelief that someone who had been given a second chance after serving time in prison could cause such harm.
That guy that was buying her flowers and taking her out and, making her smile at one point, how did it get here? I just can't believe this.
As of the time of this upload, the search for Armand Hilton continues. Law enforcement officials had announced a $20,000 reward for any information that would lead to his arrest, but so far, Armand remains on the run.
Police are looking for this man who they say targeted his victim, shooting him at point-blank range. He's seen walking up to the barber shop on the 5900 block of Germantown Avenue, then running from the scene. It happened at 1:15. The victim sat down for a haircut and was murdered in cold blood. The scene was just feet from the 14th Police District. The crime scene investigation left neighbors uneasy.
It's right around the corner from the police station, so it's hard to believe.
For Imam Hassan Abdi, the faith leader of the Germantown Masjid.
That tarnishes the image of the Muslim community.
In the video, the shooter is seen wearing an izar, a Muslim waist garment.
If it was a disguise, it's despicable behavior because it sort of brings unnecessary attention to the Muslim community. If it wasn't a disguise, it's even more despicable because not only was it the month of Ramadan, the blessed month, the person committed one of the gravest crimes in Islam, which was murder.
Authorities are treating this case with the highest urgency, given the violent nature of the crime and Armand's long criminal history. Meanwhile, across town, another tragedy was unfolding. As Tiffany's family struggled to come to terms with their loss, grief was compounded by yet another devastating blow. Just days later, on October 9, 2023, Shante Whitaker, the mother of one of Armand's children, was gunned down in what appeared to be a drive-by shooting. At first, investigators treated the incident as a random act of violence, but as the case developed, suspicions grew that Shantae's death might not have been coincidental at all, and could in fact be linked to Tiffany's murder. The possibility of a connection cast a chilling shadow over both tragedies. Shantae was only 34 years old at the time of her death. She had lived a quiet life, free from criminal activity, and was known for staying out of trouble. Her great-grandfather, Josh Whitaker, spoke publicly about her character, describing her as a young woman who never strayed into wrongdoing. The horror of that day was magnified by the presence of Shantae's daughter. The little girl had been in the bathroom when the gunfire erupted. Moments later, she discovered her mother's lifeless body in the living room, a sight no child should ever have to witness. This heartbreaking event added yet another layer to the devastating story of children left without parents because of violence. Just as Tiffany's son would forever carry the scars of losing his mother, Shantae's daughter now faced a lifetime marked by trauma and loss. The community, already shaken by Tiffany's murder, was plunged deeper into sorrow as news of Shantae's death spread. What had begun as isolated grief now became a collective mourning, with families and neighbors left to grapple with the reality of two lives cut short in such a short span of time.
While justice was still pending, Tiffany's family made sure that her legacy would be honored in the best way they knew how, by continuing to show love and support for her children. Her youngest son, who had witnessed his mother being shot by his own father, was deeply affected by the loss. The trauma of losing a parent, especially in such a violent and public manner, left him scarred emotionally, with his family rallying around him to provide as much support as possible. Tiffany's siblings shared their grief with the world, using social media and community gatherings to express the profound sadness and confusion they felt in the wake of her death. Tiffany's death has sparked a wider conversation about domestic violence, the justice system, and the treatment of repeat offenders. Many people, including Tiffany's family, have called for a closer look at the way repeat offenders like Armand Hilton are handled by the legal system. The fact that Armand had been released on bond despite his violent history was one of the main points of contention. Should repeat offenders be given the opportunity to bond out? Many people, including Tiffany's family, argue that dangerous individuals like Armand should not have the opportunity to cause harm again. Tiffany Wade's legacy is one of love, success, and unwavering devotion to her children and community. Despite the way her life ended, Tiffany's story continues to inspire those who knew her, as they remember her not for her tragic death, but for the incredible woman she was.
Family and to the friends of the family of Tiffany Wade. There is no loss greater than the loss of a human life. There is no pain greater than the pain of loss of a human life. Family, what we're going to say on 3? Kisses. As the doves circle to find their way home, your loved one, Miss Tiffany, is already home.
1, 2, kisses!
Tiffany's work ethic, her devotion to her faith, and her family-first mentality are all qualities that made her a remarkable individual. Tiffany's death has left a hole in the hearts of those who loved her, but they are determined to honor her memory by ensuring that justice is served and that her story is not forgotten. Tiffany's tragic passing serves as a reminder of the importance of safety and awareness in relationships and the need to address domestic violence before it's too late. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.